So many times, really important things and gifts get stuck in church on Sundays. What Paul is about to remind us is something that will take your Christianity to another level. When you become a Christian, you don't simply get church, you get God. And God is not limited to Sundays for a few hours. Religion wants a few hours on Sunday. A relationship with Jesus is God for every day. That's what is revolutionary about this verse about today on the 260 journey. Ephesians 5 breaks away from denominationalism norms. This is pneumatology gone rogue. Pneumatology is the study of the Holy Spirit. And if it's not kept in church, then we keep it in the classroom. And what the Apostle Paul does is it breaks it free from all those boundaries. Listen to Ephesians 5:18. Don't destroy yourself by getting drunk, but let the Spirit fill your life. Devotional writer Oswald Chambers said this about the Holy Spirit. The Spirit is the first power we practically experience, but the last power we come to understand. I want to help you understand his power today. We don't do this often, but it's worth taking a little journey into the Greek. It will be fast, simple, but worthwhile because the New Testament was written in Greek. First, the verb about being filled is in the imperative mode. That means it's a command. It's not an option for certain Christians. We all need to be filled with the Holy Spirit. Since this is a command, think about this. Are we free to disobey any of God's commands? This is as strong as thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not kill and be filled with the Holy Spirit are in the same category. Do you negotiate with the kill command? Of course not. Don't negotiate with the be filled with the Spirit command. It's imperative. Second, the tense of the verb is in the present tense, and this tense in the imperative mode always represents action going on. It's not filling for preaching and doing stuff in the church, but for the believer's everyday life in every task, moment by moment. This one is huge. Ready for this? After Paul says be filled with the Spirit, what comes next is revolutionary. He says these words, wives, submit to your husbands. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. Remember, the original New Testament had no chapter divisions, so it jumps right then to parenting and children. Children, obey your parents. Fathers, discipline your children and bring them up in the instruction of the Lord. Then he asks, do you work for a horrible supervisor or boss? You can do it as unto the Lord. How can you do all this? Be a great wife and husband, son and parent, worker on the job. And Paul says you need to be filled with the Holy Spirit. The filling of the Holy Spirit is not for Sundays. It's for every day. We need the Holy Spirit in our home, our parenting, and our job, and even in our church. Third, the verb that Paul is giving to us, be filled with the Spirit, is in the plural, which teaches us that this command is addressed not only to the preacher and the deacon, but to every Christian, to the businessman and the housewife. A.W. Tozer said, the Spirit-filled life is not a special deluxe edition of Christianity. It is part and parcel of the total plan of God for all of his people. Fourth, the verb is in the passive voice. This grammatical classification represents the subject of the verb as inactive and being acted upon. This teaches us that the filling of the Holy Spirit is not the work of man, but of God. That means it's easy. It's not a difficult command because it's not me doing it, but it's just simply me receiving it. All this being true, we realize how important those words are to be filled with the Holy Spirit. Some have said that the most accurate interpretation of that verse is this: be being filled with the Holy Spirit, or keep being filled with the Holy Spirit. D.L. Moody, the great American evangelist of the 19th century, was once asked why he urged Christians to be filled constantly with the Holy Spirit. He said, I need a continual filling because I leak. A friend of mine was asked if he believed in the second blessing, the baptism of the Holy Spirit. He said, of course I do. And in the third, the fourth, the fifth, and that blessing goes on and on. He believed in being filled because he leaks. We all leak. Thanks for joining the 260.